Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a hobby that most people think is illegal, but it's actually this huge worldwide sport of solving intricate puzzles. We're talking about lockpicking.
Okay, let's just get this out of the way right up front. The elephant in the room, right? You see a set of lockpicks, and your brain immediately screams, "Hey, isn't that illegal?" Well, is it?
For the huge global community of people who do this for fun, there's really just one golden rule. It's simple, it's unbreakable, and it's this. Never pick a lock that you don't own or that you don't have permission to pick. That's it. That's the code.
So here's the deal. For the most part, the law doesn't care if you own the tools. What it cares about is what you plan to do with them, your intent. If you're picking your own lock or your friend gave you permission to try on theirs, you're just solving a really cool puzzle. It's all about context.
So how does this even work? How can you possibly open a lock without the key? I promise you, it's not some kind of magic trick. It's all about physics and mechanics. And it all boils down to this one tiny little secret that's hidden inside pretty much every lock out there.
All right, so let's picture what's inside a normal lock. You've got these little pairs of pins, right? Key pins and driver pins. And they're basically sitting there blocking the cylinder from turning. When you stick in the right key, its unique shape lifts all those pins up to a perfect single line. We call that the shear line. Once they're all lined up, crick. The cylinder is free to turn. But here is the absolute coolest part, the whole secret. If a lock were made up perfectly, with zero flaws down to the microscopic level, picking it would be basically impossible. But here's the thing, making something perfect is crazy expensive and honestly pretty rare. So the very thing that makes lockpicking possible is that every single lock is just a little bit imperfect.
Okay, so because of those tiny little manufacturing flaws, when you apply just a little bit of turning pressure on the lock, the pins don't all get stuck at the same time. Nope. One and only one pin is going to get wedged between the inner plug and the outer housing first. That's what we call the binding pin. And understanding this, well, that's the whole game right there. So your mission is to find that one binding pin. You lift it up gently with your pick until you feel, or sometimes even hear, a little click. The plug will turn just a tiny, tiny bit. That pin is now set. It's out of the way. And now that pressure you're applying causes a new pin to bind. You just find it, set it, and repeat the process.
All right, so now that we get to theory, let's talk about the actual tools you use to make this happen. What's in the toolkit? It's probably simpler than you think.
You really only need two basic things to get started. First, a tension wrench. This is what you use to apply that rotational pressure we were talking about, the thing that creates the binding pin in the first place. And second, you need a pick. That's what you use to actually feel for and lift the pins. The most common types are hooks for precision and rakes for, well, speed. When it comes to actually picking, there are kind of two main schools of thought. First, there's raking. This is the fast and furious method. You're basically scrubbing the pick in and out, hoping to bounce the pins into place. It's great for beginners and can pop a simple lock open in literally seconds. Then you have the more elegant approach, single pin picking, or SPP. This is methodical, it's precise. You're hunting down each pin one by one. It takes more skill, for sure, but it gives you a much deeper understanding of what's happening inside that lock. So let's break down single pin picking. It's really like a four-step dance. Step 1, apply that light tension. And honestly, this is the hardest part to master. Too much tension, you jam everything up. Too little, and the pins won't set. Step 2, you slide your pick in and hunt for that binding pin. Step 3, you lift it gently, wait for it, and click. You'll feel a tiny bit of movement in the plug. That pin is set. And finally, step 4, you just repeat that process for all the other pins until, presto, the lock opens.
You might be picturing some lone wolf hunched over a lock in a dark room, but that could not be further from the truth. Lockpicking has grown into this huge global sport with an amazing community behind it.
Yeah, it's called lock sport. And for people in this community, locks aren't really seen as security devices they're trying to defeat. They see them as these really intricate, beautiful mechanical puzzles. The whole point isn't to break in, it's to understand how the puzzle works and appreciate the finesse it takes to solve it. And don't get me wrong, this is a totally legit formal sport. You've got organizations all over the world, events like LockCon that bring people together from everywhere.
It's so structured, there's even a belt ranking system, just like in martial arts. You earn your white, yellow, all the way up to black belt, not by fighting, but by successfully picking harder and harder locks. How cool is that?
So if you're thinking, this sounds kind of cool, but it's probably expensive, think again. The community is super helpful, and they've pretty much figured out the perfect beginner shopping list. You can see here a few essential hooks, a couple of rakes, the all-important tension wrenches. You can get a whole starter set for under $50. It's a really accessible hobby. And the best part is, you don't have to learn this alone. The online community is just massive and incredibly helpful. The r/lockpicking subreddit is a great place to ask questions. There's LockWiki, which is like the Wikipedia for all things locks. And of course, YouTube channels from legends like Bosnian Bill. There are just countless tutorials out there. But, it's important to keep in mind this isn't like riding a bike. The community calls it a perishable skill. It really takes patience and consistent practice. We're talking just 15-20 minutes a day to build up that sense of feel in your fingertips and to keep your skills sharp.
And in the end, that's what's so amazing about Locksport. It takes this everyday object, something we see as a barrier, and it completely reframes it as a challenge, a puzzle, something fun. It's a great reminder that with the right knowledge, with a little patience, all the complex systems around us aren't so mysterious after all. They're just puzzles, just waiting for someone to solve them.